Going
Just a
live?
second, man. Just a second.
Alright. Well, it's okay, Lon. We're already live, so
Okay.
can't go back now.
Never mind.
Cool.
Never
Yo. Shout out to Oz, too, man. Yo, what's up, Oz? Yeah, so just checking off the stuff.
¿Acaso tú nacido?
This is another Paradigm Shift After Party Hangout, and of course, for those of you who haven't checked it out, you can check out the show, the original episode, which was all about shifting paradigms with love 101. Check that out at facebook.com/paradigmshiftradio. But yeah, just putting, we're going to get the conversation rolling in with this in a second, but before we do that, we need to do a group picture where everybody's like making a peace sign or like doing something funny towards the camera. So 1, 2, 3, everybody do something. Go. Woo!
Wait.
Hold it for a second.
Oh.
Hey, is mine showing up yet?
There we go. Okay, that's good. All right, so there we go. And with that said, just sort of passing the microphone around, just giving this an opportunity for us to talk about consciousness expanding ideas and experience. We got Lon. Lon was on the show earlier. Also Jessica. This is the same Jessica Starshine that was in the show from near the end. But just opening the mic up to anyone. I know, Bonnie, you were talking about some stuff. Was there anything you wanted to mention at the top, Bonnie? To maybe get the ball rolling on this?
Oh, well, I was just talking about how, let's see, okay, so I'm totally an optimist and I'm always looking for the bright side of things, but I did not realize that I was actually also running from a lot of fears by, like, averting my thoughts very quickly. So we were discussing kind of raising your vibration, transmuting your vibration is different than kind of just thinking something else, thinking of something positive instead of ignoring the negative. And does anybody know what I'm talking about? Teal Swan talks about it a lot. It's basically like sitting with your feelings until you transmute them. So even if you're not feeling good, if it's a fearful feeling or scared or overwhelmed, fully feeling that, you'll be able to transmute it into a higher vibration compared to just simply changing your thought and just, running away from your thoughts or your feelings instead of actually feeling them. Do you guys know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah.
Yep.
How does this work? Does anybody just talk now?
Yeah, it's open for anybody. We respect everybody, when they speak and give them a chance to speak. But yeah, if you want to say something on it,
use your intuition. Is basically.
If I may, briefly, I'll just keep it short and simple. But yeah, I've been sitting with this recently because there's been a lot of dark stuff coming up, and usually my tendency, like you, Bonnie, is to run from it. And I find all sorts of crafty ways to do that. And I think it's not just me, but I think it's just a byproduct of living in this type of society that we have globally, where we're kind of like taught to distract ourselves all the time and not really feel. Mm-hmm. And I've realized that what I've realized is there's strength that comes from the growth period, so the darkness that comes up. We wouldn't know the light, we wouldn't know the optimism, we wouldn't know the highest heights unless we went to the lowest lows.
I'm
learning to kind of be okay with being in that valley of death, and looking at that part of myself that's dying and blessing it and loving it and seeing it as a teacher, because just as much as the light is great and we're all striving towards being our brightest. Well, we're not all doing that, but some of us are, and I am. But yeah, the darkness is valid, and it's a real thing, and it exists. And so, for example, I like to talk about the idea of a star, something I heard recently, which is the star wouldn't shine as bright as it does if it wasn't surrounded by darkness.
Mm. Oh, that's good. That's good. I like that too.
I have one more thing to say on that. One reason it's been coming up for me a lot, the whole realization, is that I'm a meditation facilitator, and often people, when we sit to meditate, often we will have these feelings that we've been avoiding coming up, and they might be negative feelings, Some people are like, I started meditating and all of a sudden I started feeling, and they can associate that with like not feeling good almost, but it's like we can transcend through that as long as we are aware that it's happening. And so I've been helping people get through that process, and it's been really transforming to watch people go through that. But it seems to always have like this positive outcome. That doesn't mean we're sitting there like thinking about negative things. I'm just saying that if you're in meditation and suddenly a wave of a feeling you don't want to come up, it's just your body, you're processing it often and out of your system. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If you ever feel weird after meditating or while meditating.
I think that we have a lot of we have some newcomers that are actually in the room. If they want to introduce, I feel like
Yeah,
Wildfire
that'd be nice.
is
Yeah,
probably.
or
Good
a couple
job,
new
AJ.
faces
I
to
like
AJ at
AJ,
least,
but-
but yeah. Cool. Does anybody just want to introduce themselves? Maybe just tell us a little bit about like your perception, like your paradigm, if that makes sense.
Heck yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Lucas.
Hey.
Hey, Lucas. This is
Yeah.
Lucas from Toronto? No,
Yeah.
wait. Yeah? Oh, it's cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've been trying to do some shifty stuff, get things moving, and I found recently it's been really interesting, like being more and more in touch with my own feelings and aura, and how just even seeing how people notice that and they feel that, being close to people who you don't know or don't know anything about you, but yet you still have that, they still feel that connection
Right.
without anything, because we are all one and can see those things. It's been really cool for me just seeing so many people around me changing so quickly and so acceptingly, and just little things like going down the street and smiling at every person. You only get the odd person, but it's so interesting to see because you get the odd one that you see them trying to resist that feeling, but it does come through and they do smile, and it just makes me laugh and smile as well, and it's very interesting. And I've been doing this interesting pranic twin heart meditation. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but
Yeah.
I've been doing that recently, and it's been really cool sharing and giving energy through meditation to everyone across the world, and not just the self. And yeah, as I do it more and more, I find it very interesting how it just grows more. Like the feeling, you can feel more and more energy, not just in myself, but in others. And it's cool to see all that going on. Yeah. That's just a little bit about what's going on with Lucas.
Lucas, are you wearing your shirt right now, Lucas?
Heck yeah! What else is there to wear when you got this?
Dude,
Oh,
like
nice.
seriously, eventually my entire wardrobe's just gonna be like shifty clothing.
Yeah.
I really
pretty
have
much.
to get me
Oh.
those.
Mission.
I'll hook you up, yeah.
I did want to mention to you, Skull, as well. I need you to set aside a shifty shirt, up the purple one. I need purple's my favorite color. I'm just saying, I need a purple,
Yes.
a purple set aside because I'll make sure to take care of it. But I just want that set aside.
Gotcha. You're not the first to like. I got the purple. Like that's my intention for the next one. Is like I'm bringing out the purple full force.
Yes, please.
Don't worry about it.
Please. All right, cool, awesome, love it. Thank you. Thank you. It makes me happy.
Cool.
It's small things that make people happy. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I was just gonna say that going back to the topic of the episode tonight, like that was what we were talking about. Like Alon and like the guys, like it's crazy. I guess they can hear us right now, even though they're in the kitchen.
Yeah, you can.
Alon, did you want to say anything? Just like kind of the summary of what you talked about on the show, and just the fact that you like came back from hugs, like literally just moments before you were on the air.
Hi.
Hey
We're
man.
just having a little dinner here. Yeah, I was literally like, we just did 3 hugs and literally like
came up because there was a show and wanted to participate and show people some love through the show. So, you want me to talk a little bit about what happened there, or like whatever?
Or just anything you want, maybe something new, or just anything.
Well, I didn't talk about the tracks that we did yesterday. Not almost. And what happened yesterday, also today, is that Nomi, and say hello to Nomi. This is Nomi. She's the newest member of the Team Love Trip. Hello. And he was the first one who stood up in the subway with a sign and did free hugs in the subway, in the train. I mean, inside the train while moving. And it was quite awesome, and it was very exciting. And someone saw from afar and went up half of the subway to give her a hug. And after they hugged, he asked her, "Where are you from?" And she said, "From Israel." And he was like, got so excited, and he hugged her twice again. And then he asked and then he said "I'm Persian, I'm from Iran," you know. And he was so excited to meet someone from Israel who gave hugs, and just like that they connected.
Yeah.
And free hugs for peace. And also today there was a guy from Iraq that hugged us and was very excited. But these are just, I always say when I say oh yes, Israelis and Palestinians hugged or something. That eventually these are just labels and we're all humans. It's exciting news on the newspaper, but we know that and it's important to say that, Everyone needs a hug, everyone needs love, everyone is important.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Yeah, and anybody else who just if you guys want to bring up a new topic or just want to focus around the idea of different shiftivism tactics, that's always something I'm interested in. So even if you have questions, maybe as to what you're, relative to your current situation, maybe challenges or anything too.
I have a topic idea, maybe, if nobody else does.
I guess go for it. Then. Sure, we can always go back to
maybe,
school. So.
Maybe I'll wait.
Did anybody want to hit upon just the shiftivism topic or anything? Okay, all right. Go ahead, Jessica. Sorry, who's that?
Me. I just said I'm putting my headphones on so I can start talking and not interfere with everything.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Jessica. We'll go with that. Or whatever you have.
So I went on a nature walk today. I went on 2 nature walks. They were both about an hour long, and this is something I've been trying to employ in my life, is to get out in nature at least once a day. Go for a nice long walk in the morning. And the concept I'd like to discuss or open as an idea is that it's another Taoist principle. It's called Bi. And it's the idea that there's an inherent beauty within things that is beyond our comprehension or understanding, and it's almost beyond our words. So for example, today I noticed on this leaf, it was raining outside, and on this leaf there was this tiny little droplet of water. And it was just perfectly suspended right in the center. And the one leaf, it was a yellow leaf, so it was a dying leaf, and it was on perfectly placed, crested inside of this other leaf, which was alive, and it was green. And I found that really beautiful. And the idea that there's this beautiful little water droplet that's so safely nested on both of those. I don't know. It's kind of poetic, but maybe you guys want to share some of your own experiences of Lee, things you've noticed that are really beautiful that are beyond words. Could be even human interaction or something.
Wow. We were at the cottage a couple of days ago, and I just figured that when people are soft and the area itself is it's not messy with the city, it's more natural, and just this little cottages going, and everyone is peaceful, everything is peaceful there near the lakes. The ground itself is more peaceful. It's and it was really easy to walk barefoot on. You would feel ground that is very hard to walk barefoot on, but this ground was in the nature, in the middle of the forest, and was literally built for my feet to go on safely and sound, because everything was so calm. And then I found this, when you look on tiny details, you can see a whole world inside. Thinking that if I was like a really small guy or an ant or something, like I would experience this world as huge, just as we experience something that is bigger from us. Like we are also small and we are also very, very big. Like I find that perspective all the time when I'm in nature, surrounded by nature.
Yeah. I have an interesting story to share, just about people that maybe don't have a lot of knowledge in these things, but the energies that they feel at this time and how that's been pretty interesting for me to see. The other night, me and a couple buddies were just hanging out in my place, just talking and making conversation about these kinds of things and making changes and trying to invoke questions people to ask themselves and living in the now and how that brings up many things. But it was so interesting to see just sharing those thoughts and emotions. Several people in the room just started to cry and just opening up completely, like like you've never seen them before, and it was really beautiful to see just these small things coming together and just seeing real changes in people, and it was very beautiful to see. It made me it brought a ton of energy into me, and yeah, I think it's really cool to see this stuff like this happening more and more around me and around others.
That's
really
awesome.
Exciting.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Luke. I was actually just gonna say one thing, guys. Even just to get in the habit of just like gratitude and stuff. Even if you don't really have like a direct response after someone says anything, maybe just like collectively as a group, we can just sort of like, just thank each other after we share stuff, just so we're acknowledging what is being listened to. I think that just might be a little something extra to do, but yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
Thanks,
good.
Luke. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank y'all for the co-creation.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, everyone. That's right. Do you guys feel that, like, I mean, does the concept of sixth sense, is that becoming more real to anyone?
Yes.
Oh, most definitely.
And, like, how so would be the question.
Well, Jessica was talking about an experience that she had that, and I guess this was really before I really started getting into the consciousness shifts, so to speak. But I was more into magic and nature, and I had this like really huge like knockdown drag out fight with somebody. I think it was my dad or my brother. I'm not sure which, but I just wound up walking straight through our backyard into this field, and I mean, there really was it was just like, wild grass field, a bunch of weeds and stuff like that. And I dropped down to my knees, pretty much on my last rope. And whenever I look down, I mean, I've got this thing with symmetry. I can see really, just like really minor differences in level stuff. And right between my knees was this little daisy growing. I mean, and it just spoke to me, it's like, hey, I haven't forgotten about you. You're still important. You're worthy. Don't forget the flowers. So yeah, to me that was really cool. That was just a moment.
That's beautiful.
Wow. Oh, thanks.
And it just calmed me down. I mean, I was immediately no longer angry. Nothing really mattered. It was just all this like, wow, why am I upset? This is beautiful.
I was at a festival recently, this last weekend. I've been in Australia for a little bit more than 2 weeks right now, from Kansas City, hopefully permanently. And the festival that I was at, I ran into some dude, older dude, and he kept on telling me, basically, abracadabra, as you speak, you create. And he told me, as you speak, you create abracadabra, probably 3 times throughout the festival when I ran into him. And sure enough, it has totally been absolutely true. As you speak, you do create, and It is just the fabrics of creation, sound, waves, and everything that goes along with it. And it has been my reality, and things that I have said since I've been here have been created in one form or another, whether it's in a positive or a negative way. And I am now trying to be more aware of everything that I do create and put into this world, as everything we do affects and ripples in and out of everything else. And basically, we are all one. We are God. And yeah, it's just been very eye-opening and incredible.
Bradley, I appreciate you saying that because I've been feeling the same way. It's one of those things where you really don't understand the power of your words until it becomes aware to you. And that's one of the things that about this community that it's really taught me is, you know, there were certain things that at the beginning when I first joined, that I said I sort of put the intent out there, and I was gung-ho in making sure that I was going to make sure that everything tried to work out the way it was. But lo and behold, everything started clicking together, and what I said just started falling into place. And I was like, wow, now I understand what the secret is. I understand that we are creators. We do create in some sense, and we have to be mindful about what we speak, and that goes back into the whole situation with, you know, I've been really happy because I have to check the way that I speak, because my words are very powerful and they do have a certain intent or a spirit that's carried with it. So, I mean, it makes me think about what I'm going to say before I say it, because I don't want to harm anybody nor bring harm to myself. And that's one of the things that I've picked up about being in this community as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a ripple effect of the universe.
Yo,
Thanks, AJ.
we're just I've unmuted myself.
Thanks, AJ.
Yes, thank you for the story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to say both to Bradley and to AJ. Bradley, you said something about the abracadabra. It's actually in Hebrew says like I shall create what I speak.
I gotta write that down.
Literally in Hebrew, like
Yeah.
abracadabra is in Hebrew.
I like that.
Yeah, and actually, anyway, and to AJ, you said like we create some of our reality in some way. I wanted to say there is no some. There is 100% reality creation by us all the time. And this
Right.
Abracadabra thing is so true. And when you say something, it happens. When you say it with real intention, like I'm going out to do this, you know, I'm going out to do that, I'm going this way, this will happen, you know.
It draws that energy.
Exactly.
It's almost like this is what it seems like to me. It's almost like you calling out to something that it's already there. It's already there, but the only thing is you have to put it in the action. If you don't put it in the action, then it's going to sit dormant, and it's just waiting for you to say something. And once you say that, all resources are open up to you. You've now set yourself at sort of on that radio station that everything seems clear, and you're getting the channel, and you're getting the message, and you're receiving everything very clearly. And it's like, why wasn't I on this radio station before? That's like, why wasn't I on this before? Like, seriously, I look at my age now, and I'm like, why didn't I get this when I was like 22? I mean, in some aspects, and I know that everything has its perfect time, but I really wish in some ways, in some aspects, that I would have done things maybe a little bit differently, or maybe been able to be more conscious of what's really going on and how things can be affected.
So good. It's led you to this point, so that's good.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
Thanks,
but
AJ.
remember, our thoughts are reality. So you want to, I mean, I would try and think something more like everything is working in divine, perfect timing, instead of like, man, if only I would have done that earlier.
But that thought is always there because it's a natural human emotion. It's you know, once you get to a certain age, you're like, man, and it's not a regret necessarily. I would say more. I'm sorry.
That's not necessarily reality. It's your own reality in your mind, but it's not reality. until you put it into some type of physical form, whether you write it down or speak
Right.
it and create that. Otherwise, it does go dormant in your mind.
Or
Hey,
take
go ahead,
one
Jessica.
step toward it.
Yeah, AJ, you said it's a natural human emotion. I kind of agree with you, but I kind of also want to test that theory.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the fact that we create our reality with our words. And it just kind of like, it's something I would normally say, the exact same thing said, but just because we're talking about it, it stirred my mind in a different way, and I was like, is it a natural human emotion, or is it that we're making it that by calling it that?
I think it's a lack of. I think it's just ignorance, to be honest with you. Or I think it's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of. It's not necessarily that. It just didn't resonate at the time. It wasn't the time nor the placement for it. My issue is that looking back, it's not necessarily stating that I didn't have everything there, because there were certain things that I did that were a part of the whole system and me getting to the point where I'm at now, which I appreciate. But on the other end, it's like sometimes you look back and you're like, things could have been different. I could have created a different sort of reality for me. It's for me, but I'm creating it now. It doesn't matter regardless. I'm still doing what I intended to do, and that's the great part about the whole thing, is because it doesn't matter what age. It just matters that you got it. So I'm just thankful that I did get it.
Well, one thing
It
about
also,
emotions I was going to say real quick is, well, there's several places on the internet where you can get scales of the different emotions from the lower to the higher, and you actually do have to work on that to take yourself from those lower levels to those higher levels. The emotions do exist, and yes, they are natural, but we as human beings have an ability to control that and to rise above, to raise our frequency. So
Abraham Hicks calls it the emotional set point range, if anybody wants to Google a list.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate
Emotional
that.
set point range. Abraham Hicks in this awesome book I have called Ask
That's
and
helped me out a
Understand.
lot.
Yeah,
it isn't what
me
you say
too.
necessarily, but it's what you say and how you say it. It's how you say it. Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
And
actually,
the intention
what
behind
this
what you say, the meaning behind what you say with
Right.
the feeling. You could say whatever you want to say, but if you don't have the intention and the actual feeling of what you're saying for a positive manner, I mean, you could be completely sarcastic. It's all about your intention of what you're putting into the world and what you're creating, and each word that we use
The
is a
energy behind
label to try to create something. And the label, we all are sitting here, and our definitions and how we see and understand different words can be completely different. We can all be having completely different experience at this point in time, and what we're hearing right now, and just everything that you've done throughout your lifetime and experience has shaped and formed how you feel and what you believe and picture each word means to you.
So this brings a deeper topic to me. Just if I could throw it off just for a second, and just to throw it out there, we can always come back to it. So, is there something like predetermined destiny, like a pathway that has already been predetermined because it's already been, but it's just waiting for you to get there? Is that a concept of reality or our perception, or is that just the basic genetics of how things work? That's a good one. I think I'd like to hear people's opinion on that.
Whenever I think of destiny, what I think of is the best path is laid out for us, but it's up to us to find it, choose it.
Yeah, I agree. I think every path is out there, but it's definitely
I kind of believe that we have like multiple different paths, and that's where the freedom of
Road
choice
splits.
comes in.
Right.
Like we have the choice between walking on our highest path, but maybe there's like 10 different highest paths, and maybe there's 10 different like medium. I just took a 9-to-5 path, and maybe there's 10 different. You know what I mean? There's like so many different paths.
Well,
I mean,
it's one of those things
don't
that
get
we
me
don't
wrong, some people's
understand.
9 to 5s are very meaningful, but some people's are very soul-sucking.
Yeah.
And just real quick to go back to the point on the emotional set point range, I don't know if we totally caught exactly what that was, because it sounded like there was some confusion, Bradley. Well, not confusion. What you were saying was true, but I just wanted to clarify that it's basically this idea of the scale. And at one end of the scale, I'll go get my book and tell you exactly, but one end would be like depression, like lowest of low that you could feel. And the other end is like above happy. It's basically like abundance. And in between there's every other feeling. And some like things like anger is going to be higher than depression. But let's see, but you still, it's very difficult to go from depression to happiness. But if you work through these different stages, and they call them the emotional set point range, you'll be able to get, it's kind of like baby steps to the feeling that you're trying to attract to yourself, if that makes sense.
It's however you want to label it and however many times you want to break it down
Right.
and put it into
Right.
whatever
Right.
it is that you're breaking down. It's just...
Or
I
if
mean,
you can even
it's not
achieve it.
necessarily
At that
what you
point.
say.
Have you seen that list though? What's
used to
interesting
it.
to me is that boredom is like pretty close to the bottom, which is interesting. I didn't realize that boredom was like such a kind of draining, like feeling.
Well, what is boredom? I mean, like, boredom is
Almost
saying I'm bored, but I don't want to do anything about it, and staying in that state.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Like a
kind of
hopeless state of mind
sucks.
almost.
Progress.
It kind of, so there's no there's no creation. There's no creating an experience just because I can change what I'm feeling. But I'd rather stay in that because that just feels comfortable to me. That's where a lot of stuff goes. I mean, for what I feel with people that go through depression, and that's probably why the reason why it's low on that scale, for that reason, because I remember going through that and being prescribed pills, and it kind of sucks. I didn't like doing it and had to wean myself off, but it was a miracle for at the time what I was going through, because people can experience like depression and then high adulations joy, but it's people like this are not in balance a lot of times. And a lot of times we aren't in balance because of things that we either do or things that have been done to us, and so it throws things off kilter. And so there's a lot of like middle ground. I feel when it comes to emotional ties, which is the thing that stifles us, in my opinion, from really gaining what is truly supposed to be our destiny, or what is given to us, our gifts that are given, but we just can't see them.
Boredom's kind of like a temporary giving up on creation in a way, because you're just
Right.
kind of dormantly sitting there without... I mean, you're basically giving up, saying, okay, I'm bored, when you have everything in the universe available to you
To do.
play around with. Exactly. So, yeah, it sounds like a pretty
Actually, I just
depressing
looked
state
it
of
up.
mind.
Actually, it is interesting because boredom is right next to contentment. Like, it's so easy to go from content to bored. It's basically what it's saying.
That's a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
There's the link that I was
That's
looking
a
at.
true.
I have an idea to share.
Sure.
Contentment and boredom. Okay. So there was something we were talking about before about the past. Yeah, that's what it was. AJ, you were talking about something about your perception of the past, and then we were talking about like the present and sixth sense and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys have heard about this or experienced it, but the idea that our past and our future can be affected by our present. So, and I'm kind of just playing around with this as I'm saying it, but I was thinking of the idea of boredom or contentment. So the emotional states that we achieve or that we habitually go to would also be affected by the present moment. So the more that we're present with our emotions, the more that we're present with the now, we're not only affecting possible future timelines. For example, we're talking about destiny paths, right? So there might be a possibility that there's maybe like as I see and understand it from this current perspective, there's like an overview. There's like, okay, this is the grand blueprint of your life, and you can kind of veer off and go this way and that way, but this is generally what's going to happen. Our emotions also might be affected by this idea of being anchored in the present moment. So our ability to balance our emotions, for example, also might be affected by this moment, this now.
And I think that's the reason why it's very, you have to be mindful about what you say and listen to your inner spirit before you react sometimes. And that's what I was trying to get at before, which when Bonnie said, well, why are you so happy? That's one of the main reasons, because I'm taking necessary steps to change future things, but trying to be as humble as possible in the same retrospect, because it's one of those things where it is a selfless thing. You lose yourself and it does become one. And you start tapping into another source. And that's an eye-opening experience, especially from people that have been through religious religion, being pressured at some point on their lives and being associated with something, but seeing it in a new, different light, and being able to accept that for yourself and say, I don't really care what anybody else thinks. This is my own journey. This is my own path. This is what I needed to do for myself. But I've waited so long, but finally I'm free. Finally I'm letting go and letting the universe control and guide me the way that the universe wants me to go, instead of me trying to fight and do things my way. That's really, like, in a big way, that's the way my life has been recently. And it's pretty crazy, and it's pretty awesome as well. And I appreciate everybody, because everybody has a part and a step in helping me along the way, and I don't know anything. So as long as I don't know anything, I can try and be as open as possible to new ideas and new understandings, and trying to base that with where that concept is.
I want to. Okay, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, you didn't.
Okay, I want to share a new idea with you and with all of you guys. Okay, and I will look at the camera right now, not on the screen. Listen, I must be honest with you, and I want to be honest with you because I love everyone here. Okay, so I'm just listening to the conversation, and I'm feeling that in a very big way we are still disrespecting ourselves. We're still not understanding how mighty and amazing we are, that we are who we are at this moment now. And when you understand how amazing you are, and you also understand that you don't know how amazing you are yet, you will stop talking things that you don't really mean, and only speak from your heart, and only do things that you want in your heart. And you are all an amazing people, and I'm seeing potential, and I want to see it happen also. Let's stop talk with our heads, let's start talk with our heart, and be honest, and then we'll all fly up like spirals, unbelievable spirals of light, right here, right now. Be happy, and stop giving up on ourselves. And I love you. I love you.
Thank you, Juan.
That's good
I love
word.
you too.
Thanks
I love you all.
That was you. Yeah, most definitely.
That's
Yeah.
a good message.
You are amazing. You are amazing beyond imagination. Don't ever think that you are not. You are the most special thing in the universe, and that's it.
Yep.
On that note,
Touche. I know, really.
so
Thank you.
I think
Take him out.
It's easy for us to get caught up in our humanness on that note, Alon, and on the note of what AJ was discussing as well, relating to what you're saying, AJ, is it's very easy for us to get caught up in our experience, and sometimes, depending on where we're at, I'm only speaking from my own perception, of course, but where we're at is what we're seeing, so our focus is what makes our reality. And our intention is what creates everything.
Right.
So if we come back to that place of love, and we come back to that place of infinity within ourselves, even in those moments of disconnect, or those moments of we're really heady right now, we're like, oh my God, I'm thinking this thought, that thought, everything, what does it mean? But if we just come back to the heart space again, and we come back to that infinite point, come back to that infinite knowing, and then it's like everything else dissolves. And really, I feel like it's coming back to the breath, you know, Bonnie, going back to the meditation, the mindfulness. So it's like, it's so easy to become distracted by every little detail, every detail of our mind, and then every detail of our external world, and then every detail of the conversations that we're having with ourselves, because as I see and understand it, you guys are all a reflection of me, so, and vice versa.
Nice.
It's easy to do that. You know, and even in these conversations, it's easy for us to elaborate. It's easy for us to go to those far out spaces and get distracted and go on so many different wavelengths, but ultimately it comes down to that single point, the point of almost no words, the point of ultimate knowing, the point of the breath, which we all share, and you know, the point of oneness, which is love. I hope I didn't just kill everyone's conversation.
No,
No, you didn't. No, that was
totally
good. That
agree
was
with
good.
everything. I agree with everything you just said, and
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like at some point somebody was kind of going into nonexistentialism, which is basically the idea that everything is laid out in your path, and we have very little control
It was a
where we're
question.
going.
No, it was a question. I just wanted to see what your opinions were. That's all.
All right, yeah, it's not. I don't know exactly if everything's completely laid out or if we do have options or not. It's just like a whole train of. It's just a thought process that and an idea that people have. For instance, Tom York believes in non-existentialism, which is basically like we're heads on sticks, and everything that happens is meant to happen. And does it happen over and over and over again? Is it just a giant wheel of revolving reality? And is it eternity? Have we already done this before? Have we?
Right.
Yeah. Pass.
Anybody read the Bhagavad Gita?
Have we done this before? Go ahead.
No, I haven't, but I really want to read that book.
What are we talking about?
It's pretty much pointing out that we aren't in control until we like humble ourselves, because we're rebellious souls trying to declare like further independence from God or Krishna. But we're in the period of like Cali, which is like destructive avatar, which is when people are the furthest away from religious disciplines and
Right.
goodness,
Exactly. I agree.
daily behavior, cooperation. It's all war. Pretty much everything's fighting, enjoying fighting.
I kind of feel like conversation is that too. I don't know. It feels weird because I'm saying this in guys in conversation, but and I'm kind of shy about that. But it's like the idea that the more we speak, the less we know, or the more we seek,
The less you're
the
listening.
less we know, the less we find.
If you're always speaking, then you're not going to be able to learn because you're always in your own head, and at that point you're not able to really pick up on everything else that's going on around you. You're just kind of thinking and bringing things out in your mind at all times, as opposed to taking in what's around you and the creation that's going on around you. Difficult to listen when you're speaking.
I think we should all, and it doesn't matter how much time it takes, even if we'll be silent here for 10 minutes, that we need to listen to our hearts and then say just what we feel. And the whole conversation will just go straight up, because there will be no more inner bullshit, no more fears, just like speak from the heart. Then we really reflect each other, you know? That's what I think. And I think it's an amazing opportunity for us now to live and listen.
I was trying to pull up that emotional chart. I don't know if it's come out right or not.
If with your help, friend.
I did a screen share, so you can click on my image down there, and you can see that emotional chart, how you can raise your frequency.
Wait, are you looking for it, Tony, or you said you found it in your...
It should be on my screen share. You should be able to just click my image there and it show
Your
it.
screen's black to me all of a sudden.
It's being difficult. Not impossible, just difficult. Oh well, I'll figure it out here in a minute.
Do we want to take a couple synchronized breaths after that work on not talking as much statement that I liked?
Felt as if we had a mini group meditation at that point in time. Already possible. Chat. Sounds.
We could take 3 breaths. 3 of the deepest breaths we've taken all day. And the nicest. On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You don't have to either. I'm going to do it though. I'll put myself on mute in case people want to keep talking.
I'm doing it too, Bonnie.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Silently.
3. It's not that many.
I don't. Yeah, I'm going on mute. But I'm with you.
Okay, we'll start on 3. 1,
Totally.
2, 3. Sweet.
Everything's zen.
Yeah.
That felt amazing.
Yeah.
It's fun to do that with a group of people, even over the computer. We've done it through these Google Hangouts, and actually, like, imagine, synchronizing your hearts, essentially. It's pretty magical.
I was contemplating the idea of hanging out in silence online, and I was like, how is that any different than any other time I'm online? I'm like, it's not really, except that we're all connected through our intention. And then I was thinking about, hanging out with people in person and not speaking, and how difficult that can be sometimes. And even online, it was a little bit difficult, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I like what Luke was saying in the beginning about how it just being part. It almost becomes like part of your essence when you're breathing a lot and meditating a lot and channeling a lot of healing vibrations. It does seem like there's less talking needed to even still understand what someone is saying, or people notice even just when they come in your space. It's just like this constant holding of space for people to heal around your aura. That's what Luke was talking about earlier. I don't see Luke in here anymore, though.
I have a question at this point. How do you all feel would be the best way to basically be a part of the experience of somebody? I mean, we've talked about positive vibes and intentions. How do you handle somebody with negative vibes, negative intentions? You can give them a hug. What if they don't want a hug? I mean, what are your ideas of how to handle a situation of the sort? Because I am living with someone, and it feels as if that is. I'm not going to create this and continue to say it, but yeah. Ideas? Go ahead, please.
I'll see if anybody else has something before I go. I feel like Alon's not paying attention, but he probably has something really great to say about that.
I can tell you what I do.
Yeah, I got thumbs up.
He's in the
We're
non-speaking
talking
mode.
between us, just like what we want to say to you. Like,
Yeah, I knew that they had something good to say. That's why I was gonna wait.
of course, you have something good to say. It's all good, you know. I guess we'll just I'll just say it. Like Nomi was saying, like again, we were listening to the conversation, but like let's talk feelings. Let's talk what we want, what we really want, not the way to what we think we want. Like let's talk what we really want to do. Let's talk stuff. Let's talk, let's go to the chase of it with ourselves and with us as a community. Like what we are doing here, why we are doing this Google Hangout, and why is it a very important part of my life, because this is what I'm doing now, and I've decided and I've chose to do it. So like the real question is like, what are we doing here? What am I doing here? This community, this sharing of ideas, so important. So that's what I'm saying to you now. Like I think, let's cut to the chase as a community, as an individual.
Let's meet up.
So let's meet up.
I think we should all hug.
Seriously, I'm serious. Let's physically meet and talk that we can see each other's eyes and feel each other and talk feelings. Let's talk feelings. Let's cut to the chase.
I think we should hug online right now. All of us.
Of course. Like literally.
I don't know. I'm feeling like I need a hug.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Virtual hug.
Oh.
Very much when we know.
Review computer. Let's just hug ourselves for a second.
That's a good thing to do. Okay. Also,
Yeah.
Brad's question.
Bless.
What I do is I send those people love. Those people, I know that's a pretty generic answer, and it's funny though because that's kind of the topic of tonight. But I practice Reiki, and there's certain symbols that we learn. It's kind of like a language of love, and I send them different symbols to the situation and to the people. And at first it used to be really hard because I would be like upset with these negative people and it would be hard to send them love. But then interesting turn of events would happen, and I don't know, these people end up coming back into my life in like really positive ways, and I just keep being like, I don't think that's a coincidence that I sent you love even when I was upset with your negative feelings at one point, So yeah. So I guess I recommend looking into Reiki, which is just, if you break down the word Reiki, it means universal love energy.
Well, what I'm getting from that is basically just love for the sake of love. It's not like you're expecting anything in return, and even if it is negative, that really shouldn't matter because of where you're at. You should. That's what you do. You just love for the sake of love. You're not expecting anything in return. So you just keep on keeping on.
I know it's hard though when you have those people.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Tony. That was good. That was good. Good words.
Thank you, AJ, for reminding us to say thank you.
Who was it that said something about the hugging?
Thank you, guys. It was cute. It was cute. I'll give you that. It was cute.
It was Bradley, right? Who said he has a roommate or something that he's not sure about hugging?
Yeah.
Or doesn't want to be hugged?
I think he just said the negative, right, Brad?
Not just hugging. Just
Okay.
my
I just want to clarify.
everything's lagging. I can't hear you, Albert. Go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead.
I've learned recently and observed that a couple of things about boundaries. Just because somebody doesn't want to hug you doesn't mean they're emitting negative vibes. That might be your interpretation, and you might even be projecting it. I recently got into a thing where sometimes I don't hug people, and it's not because I don't love that person or I don't want to hug them. It's just because I'm in my own space and I'm respecting my boundaries. And it's not a negative thing. It's perceived as negative. And that's what makes it negative, I find, in many cases. Second thing I wanted to say about that is we have this weird social norm where people think that we have to hug everybody. And hugging is great, don't get me wrong, and touching people is nice as long as it's appropriate and the intention is pure. However, in many cases, it's misused and it's forced. Even hugging, something as beautiful as hugging, is in many cases forced on people socially. And it may not be what's best. Bonnie, what you're saying, that's definitely an appropriate action. Something that I like to do is just project love at people. You know, you can virtually hug somebody. You can love somebody or hug somebody or touch somebody without even touching them, you know. So there's that. There's always that. And I think another thing to bring up that I've been thinking about for myself is when I feel like hugging somebody and they don't want to hug me, why do I feel like hugging that person? Is it really that they need that hug, or do I need that hug, or what does this need? So to really like tune into why we cling to each other in physical attachment, what that is, what the impulse is there. Because true love is, I mean, when you're in a state of unconditional love, it almost permeates. No, it doesn't almost. It permeates everything, and you don't really even need to touch people. At least that's what I've observed. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jessica. And
yeah, go ahead, Alon.
that explains the hug part. But I wasn't just talking about hugs. I was more talking about bringing negative energy and negative vibrations into an environment. And that was just kind of, yeah, you explained something in regards to my example of like me trying to smooth over a situation and then that not really being a viable option of me just trying to spread the love and just like calm things down in some form or another and try to make things go more in a positive direction.
Why does everything have to tiptoe? That's what I want to know. Why doesn't anybody just say exactly what it is?
That's what I was just thinking.
Well, I mean, I want to say, like, that's the bullshit. That's the mind game bullshit that people play, and that's where I call it, like, you want to use all these words like love.